and you see if that is open fully, I mean, it's gonna fall off you basically. I hate hemming. And if you are struggling with sewing this bit, don't ask me, I didn't have time to get a matching one. But I mean, if you sew an invisible zip invisibly, it doesn't matter what color it is. Palette, you get this water brush with it, like a travel paintbrush. Because it is like magic. It is very satisfying. Hi everyone, welcome back to the vlog. This is Susie from Thread Quarters. Thanks for joining me again today. Today it's a nice, lovely, long, chatty catch-up. So grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee or beverage of choice and settle down because this will be a long one. I am just sharing today lots of different things that I've made and also a few sort of little favourite sewing and crafting related things that I have recently been enjoying. I know I haven't shown my face on here in ages, but it's just been crazy with life and just also not in the right headspace for it as well, to be honest. But I have a little bit to share with you, so I thought I would actually jump on and do a nice chatty catch up for once. This video is sponsored by Skillshare, so thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring another one of my videos. I will chat about Skillshare later on in the vlog and also show you something that I've been having fun with. You might find it interesting as well, but we'll get on to that later. First up, let's talk about my recent makes, and I have pulled together all the things that I have made since my last sort of sew and tell video, which was a while ago. I think I showed you at Christmas things that I had made for Christmas presents and also just you know, that time of year. But I haven't been sewing lots just because I haven't really been in the right frame of mind, or I've been busy and I just haven't had a lot of time. So there's not an awful lot, but saying that, I do have 5 things to show you, so I'm just gonna crack on and let's get showing you. So the first thing I'm going to share is a blouse that I did say in one of my plans videos that I wanted to make. I'm very good at making plans videos and not following through, but I did actually make this one. So it is the Wilder gown on top by Friday Pattern Company in this lovely pink viscose that I did have in the shop but is out of stock now, and I love it. So I just made the top version and I did a couple of little alterations, not much actually, just the put that out of my face, the little cuffs are sheared just for a little added interest. I really didn't know whether I was gonna like this top on me or not. I just wasn't sure what my opinion was on the neckline. I did like it, I didn't like it, I just wasn't sure. You know, it's just one of those things when you love a style but you sort of think, I don't know what it's going to be like on me. We're not in the sort of position where we can go to the shops and try on different styles before we make them, which is something that I always say is a really good thing to do if you are, you know, wondering, should I make this pattern or not? Just try out, see if you can find a ready-to-wear version, try it on. Anyway, we can't really do that at the moment without the faff of sending it back, blah blah blah. So I just went ahead and actually I really love it. Now what I have done is tied a knot in the ties here because this casing is just loose and open. It's not like sewn in place or anything like that. Now that's something you probably could do as well, but I was finding it, because it's such like a loose floaty fabric, that it was sort of falling down, and you see if that is open fully, I mean, it's gonna fall off you basically. So just to keep myself safe, and because I don't often tie it, although I do like it tied as well, when it's open, worn open, I just have these little knots in it, and then that keeps it safe and secure. And the other thing I haven't done, which you may or may not have noticed, is the hem is literally just overlocked, rather than doing the full thing, because I'm always going to be tucking it in, and I can't be bothered. I hate hemming, and overlocking does the job, and I'm going to tuck it in and no one will know. Although you guys all know now, but I'm sure you'll keep my secret. So yes, I don't really have very much more to report. The fabric is lovely and light and floaty. I love this colour on me. It's really nice. It's going to be perfect coming into the spring if it actually stops snowing. And it's lovely with high-waisted skirts and trousers and things like that, and just tucking it in. It's very chic and I feel very nice in it, and I would totally recommend the pattern. I'm sure you've made it, because I seem to be the last person on the planet that has made the Wilder gown. I'm only joking. And it's very easy and quick and a nice simple make. And I also really like the little shearing detail. It would be nice actually with full length sleeves and shearing at the cuffs. I think that would look lovely. So it's a good one, give it a go. Next up, I have two items that I had the fabric for a really long time, and I can't remember even whether I chatted on here about my plans or things like that, but it was two beautiful fabrics from Minerva for blog posts for them. So I was gifted the fabric in return for blog posts, and oh my goodness, lockdown happened, life was going on, and I was so late in getting anything made out of these fabrics, but I finally got around to doing it. I did share them on Instagram, so if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen most of the things today. Yes, so these were made for blog posts. So again, I'll link those blog posts down below so that you can find out full information, because I go into lots and lots of detail, which I'm not going to do today, about the two makes. But I'll start with this beautiful bright blue linen sew over it Ella blouse. So that's it, just loose on the hanger. Looks very different when you put it on, and it's quite a thick, substantial linen. Really gorgeous quality, very beautiful quality. Premium price, by the way, but you know, high quality linen isn't cheap unless you find a bargain somewhere. But yes, I hadn't really seen the Ella sewn up in a linen before, maybe once on Instagram, but I had seen wrapped blouses made in linen, and I had really just fallen in love with them and thought how beautiful they were. I just loved sort of the extra structure that they had. The Ella tends to always be made in a beautiful viscose or a crepe or some light floaty fabric, and it really does work beautifully for that. But I did think, because I had seen some wrapped linen blouses, I did think, yeah, I'm going to give it a go, and I really love it actually. I mean, the colour's stunning, just so beautiful. The only thing that I did struggle with is following the instructions for this join, for joining the tie into the base of the top. I find it very confusing to follow. I think I eventually got it. It's not perfect. You can see a little, like, it's not great, and around the back where you don't really see anyway, it's a bit messy. And also because of the linen is quite heavyweight, it was very hard to sew all those layers, and this is a really thick piece here. There are so many layers, and I did actually, I think I used a clapper and loads of steam to really try and bash that seam down to make it as thin as possible, and to try and sew through it. It was tricky, so do bear that in mind if you're wanting to recreate something like this, and if you are struggling with sewing this bit. don't ask me because I would probably tell you the wrong answer. Yeah, and then yeah, so but yes, I really love it, and I think it looks very nice with my other make, my other Minerva blog make, and this is a beautiful pair of wool crepe culottes. So the pattern I use to make these culottes is the pattern I've made quite a few times now. It's B6178. B6178. I just can't remember numbers of patterns ever. Anyway, I've made it a few times. I know you've seen it a few times already. So it's a nice tried and true pattern for me. I don't have to make any alterations, although I have put it on weight recently. So these are a little bit tight because I just made them as per my other ones, and they are a little tight, but I am hoping to shift my COVID weight, I think I'll call it, at the moment, so hopefully they will fit me a bit better. Also, they have beautiful inseam pockets here, but yeah, these are just stunning, and this fabric again is it's a premium fabric. It's beautiful quality wool crepe. It is actually slightly sheer, so if you are planning on picking up this fabric, do bear that in mind. I do think I should have lined these culottes because they are just ever so slightly sheer, and it would have been easy enough to do, but you know, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I had a deadline for writing the blog post and I needed to get it done, so I didn't line them. It is okay because generally I will be wearing them with tights, and so therefore it's fine. But yeah, I think to take them up the next level, lining them would have been better. What else did I do to help with this? Oh, I did not put these in, I didn't pre-wash this fabric, I just steamed it because it is wool, and you know, you have to be very careful with wool. Steamed it with a pressing cloth over the top because you can scorch wool as well, so you do have to be careful with that. For my hem, I just hand sewed that down with a really nice little teeny tiny slip stitch, so you can't even see the hem. I mean, you can see a little bit, but much less than if you sewed that on the sewing machine. And I'm really happy with my invisible zip. Now you can see it is a black zipper, again because I was running out of time, didn't have time to get a matching one. But I mean, if you sew an invisible zip invisibly, it doesn't matter what color it is. They go with so many things in my wardrobe, which is just amazing. I mean, I would never have thought that a pair of bottle green culottes would go with so many things, but yeah, I obviously like this color green. Right, and my next make is very exciting because it is the first garment to actually be part of my sewing Sudoku that I had chatted about at the beginning of the year. And again, I just haven't had an awful lot of time to get things made, but I have finally completed one of the garments, and it is this needle cord Wixton Tova in the sort of dress tunic length rather than the top version. And I have done a few other little extra things. I have used the viscose that I'm planning on making a blouse of for my sewing Sudoku. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will link down below the vlog to explain all about my sewing Sudoku plans. It sort of like creates a mix and match wardrobe. And I'm making a blouse out of this beautiful Lady McElroy viscose, and I have used it to accent this lovely top. So I used it to make the cuffs for the sleeves, which I absolutely love. I think it's really very, very sweet. And then likewise for this placket, I used the viscose for one side, which is actually quite good because I have made the Tova before in like quite a thick fabric. Like this is relatively thick, and it does get really bulky here, so using the viscose sort of reduces that bulk a little bit. So I did that, and actually the sewing pattern has you put the extra placket piece on the outside. I didn't want the viscose elements to be quite so in your face, so I just reversed it and had it so that it's on the inside. And as you can also see, I've used it around the neck binding as well, so when I wear it, it sort of flops open a little bit, and you can see that, and I think that's very, very nice. The Tova originally has a sort of grandad collar around the neck, which, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, and it never looks nice. It always looks wibbly wobbly. The ones I've made before, I've never thought that they sat nicely, and when I scroll through Instagram, I just don't think it looks the way it should look, put it that way. And I have seen a few people that don't put it on and just bind the neckline, and it looks much nicer. So that's what I went ahead and did. It's not perfect. Putting bias binding around a curve like this is a skill, and it is not one of my skills. Yeah, so it could be better. It is sitting pretty flat, so that's something I'm always about bias binding, is it can make your neck stick up a bit if you haven't sewn it well enough. But generally it is sitting nice and flat. But I mean, if you're going to be really pedantic, this side is thicker than that side, and that does annoy me a little bit, but I'm trying to ignore it. We'll see. We'll see how much I can ignore it. But all in all, it's really cute. I am still torn on the length. Again, I had just made this the size that I had made my previous ones, which were tops, but I did the longer side, and I was smaller then. As I said, I have put on a little bit of weight, so this is a bit tight around my hips, and I can see the drag lines in it, and you might see that in the cutaway, I'm not sure. And I'm toying with the idea of changing the length. I might even do like a curved hem, because I do really like curved hems in general rather than just straight across. So that might be something I'll do in the future. I don't know whether I'll ever get around to it, but we'll see how much I wear this. And once I have made my other Sudoku pieces, I'll see how well it works with those other pieces as well, and see if maybe like a slightly shorter version might be worn more. I don't know. But I just thought I'll go ahead and I'll just make it this long length, put the hem on it. Yes, I did actually hem it properly. And then, you know, you can always make it shorter. And the final garment that I am sharing with you today is one of my absolute favorites. I am in love with it. I just think it is a joy, and you'll have seen it all over my Instagram account, because I've taken very many photos of it and sharing it on there. And it is the spring dress by Nina Lee, patterns for Simply Sewing magazine. I'll show you the pattern in a second, but I made it out of this really beautiful bright magenta leopard print viscose that I coveted for a long time a few years ago, and it was popping up in all the fabric shops, and I just kept trying to buy some, and it was selling out so fast I just could never get any. Eventually I think I got it on Sew Me Sunshine. Now we're talking 2 years ago, year and a half ago maybe. So I mean, I don't think it's going to be available anywhere now, I'm afraid. I would love to pick up some more. If anyone knows of this in stock anywhere, let me know, because I quite like a blouse in it too. Anyway, so yeah, and I've had it for a while, and I just haven't known what to make with it, so I'm really glad I finally used some of my stash, and I love it. This is the very battered envelope of the pattern here, the spring dress by Nina Lee, and it's just a really cute tiered floaty dress. I didn't do the flounce at the sleeve, because I knew I'd be wanting to layer it and put it under cardigans and things like that, and it would just get in the way. So I didn't bother with that. And also you may or may not notice that I have an extra frill at the bottom. When I made the dress, I did make it really quickly one morning in the hopes of wearing it that afternoon, so it does come together quite quickly if it's already cut out. If you are an experienced sewer and sort of know what you're doing, you don't have to follow instructions too much. I was able to throw it together quite quickly, and I did really like it. I just did the overlocking around the edge trick for my hemming just for that day, and I decided that even with just overlocking and not turning up a hem on the bottom tier, it was just a bit short for me. It worked perfectly with tights, but I just felt that it was the kind of dress that I'd want to wear in the warmer months of the year without tights, and it just was a little too short for me. I like to have my knees not quite so exposed. I mean, you know, it's just personal preference. That's just the way I like to wear my clothes. And so I thought, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to add an extra layer, and I had enough fabric left over, so I just drafted it was about 5 inches, and that was to include the seam allowance and a hem, so it ended up being about 4 inches, slightly less once it was sewn on the dress, because it was quite a small hem that I turned it up, and just about, again, 6 inches longer than the base of the bottom tier, just if you're wanting to do it yourself. And I really love the proportions that it has created. So it's quite ruffly, whereas the other 2 tiers don't have as much gathering, especially the second tier has less than the top tier. It has quite a bit more, and I really love that actually. I just think that's a nice little detail at the bottom. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure from the drawings and the pictures whether this was a waisted bodice or slightly empire. It worked out on my body that it is slightly empire, and I quite like that actually. And I was toying with the idea of putting in ties, but once I had it on and I sort of like tried what it would look like with ties, it didn't make a big difference, so I didn't bother. I made the size 14, and I didn't make any alterations. I know some people have had to redraft sleeves and things like that, but personally it worked out great for me, so that was good. So just the length. So if you are tall and you like the look of this dress, then bear that in mind. But if you're shorter, I'm 5'6", so if you're shorter, then it probably won't be a problem. Or if you like shorter dresses, then it's fine. As I said, this came free with Simply Sewing magazine this month. So I'm going to guess it's currently in the shops at the moment, so if you're after it, then go out and grab it, because it is really, really cute. Now, the only thing that I struggled with was sewing the neckline. It is a bias bound neckline that then just extends out into the straps, the ties, sorry, and as you can see, it's teensy tiny. So the bias binding is really, really narrow, and yeah, it's not neat sewing. It's okay, no one's going to see it because it'll be under my hair, but yeah, the back is not neat, and I did struggle to sew that neatly. So that's just something to bear in mind. If you maybe struggle with sewing that sort of thing too. There's a trend in my sewing struggles for these makes, isn't it? Bias binding around necklines. I don't like doing it. So as I mentioned, this vlog is kindly sponsored by Skillshare. Thank you very much for watching my videos and allowing me the opportunity to have sponsored videos. I do try and make them as integrated into my videos as possible, but the sponsored videos do help me continue to make these vlogs for you at no cost to you. And actually, when I say integrated, today I am chatting about another skill that I have been working on, and Skillshare has been very helpful with me developing that skill. So a little bit about Skillshare first, and then I'll chat about what I've been playing with recently. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey, with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including painting, sewing, knitting, illustration, design, photography, and so much more. Skillshare classes include a combination of video lessons and a class project, which really helps you hone the new skills you are learning. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. It's created specifically for learning, meaning there are no ads, and they're always launching new premium classes, so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of premium membership so you can explore your own creativity. What's the new skill that I've sort of been dabbling in a little bit is watercolor painting. It's something that a few months ago I just really took a notion to, and I just thought, wouldn't that just be so relaxing and calming to try? I do love art. I have always loved art my whole life, but I just feel like in the last half of my life I have not really done anything like this sort of art. Obviously dressmaking is creative and it is an art in itself, but there was something about putting paint on paper that I just really wanted to get back into, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. And so because I have a Skillshare account, I thought, let me see if there are any classes on Skillshare that would help with this new hobby. And oh my goodness, there are so many amazing classes on Skillshare for all types of art, but specifically watercolor. So many, so many. You could get lost down a rabbit hole, and the skill and inspiration that you can find on there is amazing. So the class that I'm going to highlight today, which I think is great and also just has that little sort of fashion element in it, is Art Essentials: Learn Watercolor Painting Basics by Katie Rogers. Katie Rogers is a fashion illustrator behind the blog Paper Fashion. So she really does these really beautiful watercolor paintings of beautiful couture gowns and different clothing and shoes and things like that, and it's just, her work is very beautiful. The class is great because she talks through all the basic tools you need, the pencils and brushes and paints, and how to mix your colors, and then she dives into how to create different textures on different shoes, which I just thought was wonderful, like how to paint sequins and suede and even the shine on patent leather. I thought I would just show you some of the painting I've done. Like, as I said, I am no expert, very much just starting out, but here's just some of the fun flowers that I've been doing. And I did this one, actually this was from a Skillshare class as well by Sharon Stevens. She does really beautiful watercolor classes on Skillshare as well, so do check her out too. And just to keep it with the sewing theme, I can never stray too far from sewing, but here is a pair of whiskers that I sewed, a really poor attempt at a pincushion tomato here, and also some pins here. Like, it's not great. This is just sort of my rough sketches, but I do really like my my scissors. I thought they're quite good from afar. Maybe a real pair of scissors. No, but yeah, just to show you what one of the other things I've been doing. Do any of you dabble in painting of any kind? I'd love to hear. Do let me know in the description box down below. It's very relaxing, and sometimes I find sewing a little bit stressful, I think because I put a lot of pressure on myself to get things made and get things done, whereas I have no pressure here with the painting. It purely is just time for me to zone out. I know that's what a lot of you do with your sewing, but as I said, I have piled pressure onto myself, so that is now gone. So I think that's why I gravitated towards doing a little bit of watercolor. I haven't picked it up in the last month or so, so I must make sure to make some time to just get back into it again and keep practicing, because there really is quite a skill to it that I need a lot more practice in. I'll just show you if you are interested. This is the little watercolor set that I picked up by Winsor & Newton, which is just one of the very well-known ones, and it's just this small little palette. You get this water brush with it. It's like a travel paintbrush. It's got water in the base of it, which I've used a little bit of, but not really. I just particularly like the colors that you got in this set. I can link it down below if you are at all interested in it. And then just some of the brushes that I have picked up for it. Some really lovely ones, actually. I did sort of like splash out. When I say splash out, it was maybe like 10 or 8 pounds per brush. So yeah, because I did buy a set of like about 6 for about £10, and I did not like them at all. So I thought, you know what, I think it is worth maybe investing a little bit in the brushes, which I presume will last a very long time. So I better get painting. Okay, and as I said, I was talking about favorites that I have discovered recently. So one was painting, and then the last thing I'm going to chat about, because I know I have waffled on an awful lot today, is a kit that I have had in my sewing tools stash for many years. I'm thinking maybe 4 years, and I bought it thinking I'm really gonna use this, it's gonna be brilliant, and then I never got it out and I never used it. And it is my bias binding making set. So I just bought this on Amazon. I'll put a link down below if you're interested. It's not very expensive at all, and it comes with lots of things that you really don't need. Lots of little crocodile clips in different colors that are lovely, or whatever those are called. But it does have 4 bias binding maker thingies. I don't know what they're called, in different sizes. You can see like this, and if I am smart enough, I will put a very short clip of me making bias binding that I shared on Instagram last week, because it is like magic. It is very satisfying to use these. You have to cut out your bias strips, obviously, which I do not like doing. I don't like cutting straight lines at all, even with a rotary cutter. I just don't like doing it. And you feed it in, pick the right size. As I said, there are 4 different sizes of these in this massive one here, which I guess would be great for quilting. You feed the flat fabric in here, and it folds it 2 sides into the middle, so that it comes out folded at the other side, and you have your iron, and you start ironing and pull this along and iron, and you have bias binding, and it's so easy and very satisfying. And I know that most of you watching will have used these before, so it's nothing new to you. But it's just so funny that I've had these for about 4 years and I've only got around to using them last week. So the reason was because I made the bias binding for my spring dress, which I used this, was it this one? I think I'm missing one. No, it was maybe this one. I used this one here for my spring dress, that size there, 12. To make that, and that would have been so fiddly to make that teeny tiny bias binding without one of these, just trying to turn it up myself. Oh, I would have hated that. And then I used a slightly larger one for the bias binding on the Tova that I showed you as well. So they have been used twice on 2 different makes in the last week, and now I'm like, let's make all the bias binding, because it is so much fun to make. If you have never come across these before, then I do recommend grabbing them. They're not very expensive. You don't really need to buy the kit that has all these clips in it, unless you're going to be quilting. I think this is more for if you're quilting and you're putting the bias binding on, or you're putting the binding onto your quilt edge, then you use those sorts of clips. It also comes with a foot, which I did not use. I don't think it would work on my faff. I think it would work on others though. And I think that helps feed the bias binding on to your work. But I didn't use that because I wasn't sewing it on like that. That's the kind of, if you're got your fabric that you want to attach your bias binding and your folded bias binding, you do like that and then do it in one go rather than doing one side, flipping it over and then sewing the other side. That's what this foot would help you do. But I didn't use that because I was not sewing the bias binding on like that. Anyway guys, that is it. My long chatty vlog is over. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for sticking with me and listening. Hopefully I kept you company while you were maybe doing a little bit of sewing of your own. Please do tag me on Instagram if you were sewing along while watching me. I always love seeing that I've been keeping you company. And it has been really lovely to get back in front of the camera and get back to chatting. A little bit out of practice, so I am very sorry if I waffled on a bit much. I definitely did, and I will have edited quite a bit of that out. But yes, if you enjoyed my vlog, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do get chatting in the comments. I'd love to hear what you've been making. If you love making bias binding, or if you have made any of the garments that I talked about today, or if you like watercolor and maybe you can recommend some classes to me that maybe you've taken as well that I could try out as well. I would really love to hear all your thoughts and suggestions. So anyway, I hope you all have a lovely rest of the week and I will see you all again very soon. Bye.